Hello my sisters. This is actually a video I wanted to make quite a while ago, and it's about my year and a day studies. Some of you might know that I'm taking part in Annie Greystone's Season of the Seeker studies, the Greystone path. Some of you might know her Mirth and Reverence channel. To those of you who don't know it yet, I will link it in the description below. Yeah, and it's really 1 year ago I started it. 1 year and some days more, I have to say. But that's the fine and relaxing part of these studies, that they are so relaxed and not so strict, and like you know it from this let's say economical life, where everything is so it's so divided into right and wrong, and these studies aren't that way, and the type of and the kind of learning you're doing or you're performing there is quite different to any kind of learning I had before. It's not like the things you learn in school or when you start to study or so. It's not like that. Not like that at all, and that's the really relaxing and also freeing part of it, you can say. Yeah, in the studies it's about elemental balancing, and we are now into the studies of the element of fire. We already did air and water, and now we're into fire. I'm part of group 9, and there are actually 10 groups, and I think the first 5 groups are already finished with their year and a day studies. I might be wrong, but I think most of the groups are finished now, and we're group 9 and group 10, and I think from group 6 on they are into the studies of elemental balancing. Yeah, and when I started it, I first was a bit hesitated. I hesitated at first because I thought maybe the language. I was quite good in English before, maybe more good in reading it and understanding it than in speaking or talking English. But practice makes perfect. But the language that English isn't my first language was a kind of hesitation moment for me, because I thought maybe I'm not able to get into some more complex topics, but I took my heart and jumped. You could say I took my heart and jumped, and it was so good. It was so good. I think, and it is still good. It's not to compare with anything I've ever done before, and it's so there's so much growth going on because of these studies that I think I will be able to understand how much and what kind of changes and influences these studies will perform on me in the future. Sometime in the future, I will be able to capture this immensity of these studies and the depth of these studies. Then, because that's what they are. They are really depth, and they are not so much to be. That's what I have found at the first a bit struggling, because in our normal school world, and also in the world of university and so on, as in other parts also, these studies or the learning is quite about the intellect, about the brain, and you study like you're reading like yeah, it's mass consuming, you can say. You read like a devil, and you try to memorize everything and so on and so forth. And the seeker studies aren't that way. Much of these, quite a lot of these topics and what it's all about is quite depth, and I didn't realize it before, but after a while I've felt the understanding more, that I knew it. Let's say it like this. It's about more. It's not so much about the mind. It's much more about the heart understanding. I hope you will understand me what I'm rambling about here. Yeah, it's more about teaching of the heart, not so much teaching of the mind, and that's the great stuff. I have to say, I think before I started last August last year with my studies, I think I knew Annie's channel only for 2 or 3 months, and was quite fascinated by her videos and the topics and the kind of spirituality she is performing, and how relaxed and grounded she was, and she is. And I was at that moment starting to get more into all the witchy kind of topics and pagan topics, and started to find out that this could be a path for me, because I was searching for quite a while. I was not growing up in a Christian household, to say it. We were more kind of atheists. I hope I don't murder it. But the Christian background into the society we were living was quite obvious, although we weren't so Christian at all. I'm oh God, what does it mean? Getauft. I try to find the word for Taufe. So I'm evangelic. I hope I say it right, but I'm not. I had no confirmation. That was something where I was quite strict that I don't want it. But first I was into the lessons. You have to take some lessons before you get the confirmation and so on. But let's say the priest was quite it was quite gossipy type of guy, preaching his beliefs, and on the other side he was like rambling about my mother being a solo mom, and that was something I was quite angry about. And the other stuff was that I saw with my fellow kids who were taking part in these things, that they all talked about, what I will get for my confirmation. I will get a little motorbike or Motorroller, like we call it, a Vespa or so on. And I didn't have such a bright variety of relatives, let's say it like this. There was only my mother and me, and all the one aunt I had where we live. There was my mother and her wasn't they were mad at each other, and the other sister was quite far away, so no relatives actually. So I thought, okay, let's be honest, I won't get anything out of it. Yeah, let's say it like this. Teens are sometimes that way. Let's face it. But and so I didn't wanted to take part in this, and I quit taking part in these lessons for my confirmation. But nonetheless, the Christian background is still in some way in our society quite vivid. Not so much a living thing, but in the speech you hear, in the everyday language, when you say "oh my God," oder Grundgütiger, oh my goodness, you can say, or I think it's also quite the same in English. It's always about the single God which emerges here and there in language, and also in the of course in the holidays and festivities you have, like Christmas and Easter and all the other stuff. And so although we were not practicing Christians, it was somewhere in the air, let's say it. I don't know, but no, I think I know where this comes from, that we weren't so Christian at all, because some other were more possibly, but I think my mother also didn't grow up in a very Christian household. I think it was because of my grandfather. My grandfather's father was the founder of the Baptist church in the town where we live. So maybe there was some incidents or some things which put my grandpa off the religious hook, the Christian hook, let's say it. So I was quite without a belief system, to say it like this. Although when I was afraid as a kid or so, I prayed to God sometimes, because that was how I sensed it in the society. But I've never felt quite comfortable with the Christian belief system, let's say it like that. All the women are nothing, and women are guilty of sin on this crap. This was really annoying me. And I felt never good in churches also, so I was more like a nature child. And my mother was quite she was quite fond of nature too. So we spent, when I was a kid, we spent a lot of time in nature. We made little tours with our bikes and little picnics out in the woods, and my mother always took a pillow and a blanket with her, and also loved to sleep in nature. It was sometimes quite funny when wanderers or hikers came or crossed our way and thought, oh my God, there's a woman lying on the ground, what she's doing there? Maybe something is wrong, but no, nothing was wrong. We always loved to be outside. So this love of nature was part of me, you can say. This was part of me, and is part of me to this day, and will be part of me until I die, I think. I always felt safe and secure in woods. I love trees. It's a comforting thing, and after my mother died over 10 years ago, I think the best healer for my grief was the little forest that was nearby. This was I went in and was taken in by this forest entity, let's say it like this, and there was also a little stream, and the sound of water is always soothing and calming for me, and relaxing and refreshing. And so this was a place to go when when I felt not good, but also a place to go when I felt good. So, and a place to feel good. So you can say my motto was nature is my church. Yeah, and about witches, yeah, I was always fond of witches, but not fond of the image you had of witches in fairy tales. Always old, ugly women. This was something that drove me really mad. Always ugly women with some strange face with long noses and so on and so forth. And always evil. That was something I hated. I really hated. So I was quite fond as a kid that there was actually a audio play on audio cassette. This is something which is still be available up to date. Which was a modern witchy series, you can say, which was called, and is called, Bibi Blocksberg. Some of my German subscribers will smile now, because quite a lot of kids in Germany grew up with Bibi Blocksberg from a certain time. Bibi Blocksberg was and is a young witch. Young witch which is living in the city. She is so quite... In the stories, she's about 10 years old, or so, 10 or 11 years old, and she has a. Her mother is also a witch, but her father and her brother aren't magical. They are muggles, let's say it like this. And these, these two witches also have, of course, have brooms, and they have quite lovely names. The broom of Bibi is called Kartoffelbrei, which is mashed potato. Mashed potato, and the broom of her mother was Baldrian. I think it's Valerian. I will look that up. And I loved it. I loved the rhymes when they were hexing and so on. Ene, mene, hex, hex, and so on. It was quite a lovely spell. When she wanted to fly, she had to hex her broom. And she said, I will say it in German, Ene, mene, mai, flieg los, Kartoffelbrei, hex, hex. And there was some sound going on in the audio player, which was so funny, and then you could fly, or Bibi was able to fly. And this was something I really loved. This young, witchy, independent witch, this witchy child, she was really quite fabulous. And that was fascinating, and other stories sometimes were fascinating. When Harry Potter was released, okay, I was in my 20s, but I started to read it and I loved it. And I started from my mid-20s, started to read here and there some of witchy and more esoteric stuff, but was not quite sure how to put it into a path of mine, and wasn't even aware of that I was searching for something. But at some point, I think 5 years ago, I started to search for something. I looked up other religious systems, but I always... Oh, I think I have to stop. Here is my handy is going on my mobile phone. Yeah, my boyfriend has a certain talent to interrupt me while I'm filming. It's always the same. Yeah, I hope my battery won't die, or my memory card, so I will get a bit further on. So yeah, I started to get more into the witchy themes. Searched for books in the libraries and so on, and there was a time 2 years ago where I wanted to visit a witchy shop, which was in the near of Lüneburg, where the Lüneburg Heath is growing. And this was a really tiny witchy shop, and I wanted to go there mainly because they were selling brooms, and I wanted a real big broom for sort of as a decorating element for my flat. And we drove there, and I looked up all the witchy items. There's really a tiny witchy shop, which is called Druidenmarkt. They also have a website, but I don't think they ship internationally. And this druid market were run by a druid actually, and a witch, and I was quite fascinated, I had to say. I watched another customer which came in, and his girlfriend was a witch, and yeah, she started to be a witch, and she needs this and this. And I asked myself, would I call myself a witch? Up to that day, no. But I think I was hooked long time before that. So this started in a kind of way 2 years ago, and after a couple of months later, I met my new witchy friend, which is not so new anymore, which is our neighbor now, witchy friend Marion, and she told that some people might call her a witch, and she was celebrating the festivals, the Wheel of the Year. And I already started 2 years ago celebrating the Wheel of the Year. I started with Mayborn, I think. I looked up at the meaning of the different festivals in a book. I think it was by Scott Cunningham. I think no witch can go around Scott Cunningham to a certain point, even when we have some more books later, a bigger variety of witchy books. But I loved the story behind it. I loved the thought of male and female deities, and the polarity, and this was something which was more of my taste. And I was quite happy about the goddess, about the embracing of the divine feminine into many witchy belief systems, or beliefs, not talk about systems. Some have systems and some not. Some are more free-spirited. Yeah, and in this kind of way, last year I stumbled over Annie's channel, and yeah, after a while I wanted to contact her, because I wanted to thank her for her inspiration she was giving through her videos, and made a little introduction. And up to that point, she had a call out for the last seeker group, or the last 2 seeker groups, and I think with my little email I sent to her, where I talked a bit about me and my background and so on, I was already into the seeker studies. She said, "Hey, yeah, your introduction email was so lovely. If you want to take part, you can take part, and actually here is everything you need," and so on. And you had also to ask 3 questions about why you do this, why you want to do this, can you afford time for this, and so on. But at first I was, can I do it? And then, yeah, let's do it. And I don't regret it. I don't regret it. This was the best, let's say, the best decision I made. Really, this is so mind-blowing, let's say it like this, no? Mind-blowing, and it's, like I said, it's the education of the heart. And it's also about free yourself from dogma, free yourself from structure, from strict rules, a freement from strict rules, you can say. And this is really good. And one of Annie's key quotes or key sentences she always says is, "You make of it what you will." And this is really a permission slip, you can say. And I really took off. At first more hesitant, and sometimes I'm still more of a hesitating person, but this is really a mind-blowing thing. Although she will make more groups, there is a possibility for those of you who might consider something like elemental balancing to take part in her independent studies, because this is something you can do. Of course I will link the Greystone Path website below, so you can read a bit about that. And what you see here in front of me is a bit of the inspiration, the inspirational outcome, the creativity, which is also part, not really part of the studies, because this is something every student can make of it what you will. So I made of it what I wanted, and because I was always a creative person, I started like this. Okay, I started quite late because air is still missing. I was inspired by a fellow seeker, by Emily Bordier. You will know her by now probably, and she has an elemental studies book which I bound for her, for last year. And suddenly I thought, okay, I will also do something like that, but smaller, and with different books for each element. She has a elemental book for all the elements, with different colors for the elements, different pages, different page colors, and so on. And I thought, okay, I will do something like this, and I will make something like that here. This was actually a page from a coloring book, which I used, and then added the words to it and colored it with color pencils and so on. And this is for water. And it's really fun. Sometimes it takes some time to create it, and this is still not finished actually. Here I want to put in a quote or something like that. This is one of our little rides we did. We are quite free-flowing here. This you can. Sometimes you have. This is something I forgot. In these studies, you read a session, and then you have normally a journaling prompt and exercise or a small ride. We are performing small rides, and sometimes there are some, let's say, ingredients you need for it, and sometimes we're quite free-flowing what comes into our mind. So I used my my card deck, my tarot card deck, for this exercise or small ride. And yeah, some correspondence collecting between our sisters here, and this here. Yeah, it's lovely. It's so much fun. Here I have to put in something here about the virtues and vices of water in both language. Maybe you can read it. And so this is something which I had to provide. Yeah, this is my waterscape, my spiritual water landscape here. And my guardian, as you might know now, is the otter, and I did this here. Yeah, these waterfalls you see in the background, which is part of my waterscape, are actually the Plitvicer Seen, the Plitvicer Lakes, and oh god, no, I have to say East Europe. I don't know the country. I will put it here in the video now. So yeah, some quotes or some lovely sentences I want to put in here, but I have to glue it. Never stop to wonder I want to put in here. So yeah, this is something which comes out when your creativity is unleashed by such studies. I can say this is really a totally freeing experience. You don't have to, of course, if you're not that type of creative person. You can just do journaling and the exercises and so on, and it's still nurturing. It's still it gives you so much. But if you're into this, you can have fun. This is so lovely. Yeah, this was one of our sessions where we had to create a credo manifesto. It's not finished, actually. Of course, something like that isn't finished at all, never is finished. So yeah, and that was like I do the sessions sometimes. What you see here, these pictures here, are part of, I created water cards. This idea also came from Emily. She did that quite a while before, and I thought, what a great thing to do. Here is something also lovely. Look at that. Yeah, and I thought, okay, I also want to do this, and because I was you have to do something here. Still. Yeah, because I thought it was a good idea, and because I was on Pinterest, I started collecting. Yeah, I collected pictures which were quite reminded me of the element of water in some way or another. And I created water cards, and these are not all water cards. I have to say I went a bit crazy. This is something like an oracle deck, you can say. Yeah, this is, and there are 3 more actually. Yeah, this is, I went totally crazy, and it was quite a work, you can say. So what you see here, I glued it. I had this cardstock. Actually, I had to cut it, and then this paper here is quite light, so I dyed it with tea. Yeah, and put in this here, of course, and then something like that here, or that. And it's quite fun to work with these cards, because I worked with these cards in addition to my Messenger Oracle, and they work quite well together, I have to say. I love this movie, by the way. If anybody missed the Pixar movie Up, just look at it. It's such a good movie, such a good movie. So, here we have them again. I love them. Those two are so lovely. Something like that here. Yeah. And this is something, yeah, which comes out, which is the outcome of these studies sometimes. I also did these, what you see here. Of course, maybe, I don't know if I can say of course. Some of you maybe know these signs are not mine. They are from the animated series Avatar. And but I loved them, so I used them and made these clay-like ceramic stuff which is air drying, and painted it, and so I have something for rituals and so on. Yeah, yeah. Okay, this is the creative outcome. I have some character from Avatar. Yeah, and now I have another booklet here, another elemental booklet. It's a bit small. I was a bit over enthusiastic with cutting, And at first I had another cover, and because I have no color printer, yeah, I had this printed out in a copy shop and with no writing on it, and I thought, oh, this is such a good cover, I think I will take this and not the other. So I hand wrote the stuff on the cover. It was quite this was, yeah, it was challenging. Phoenix. And I have to say, Pinterest is such a creative, such an inspiration for these creative tasks or ventures, you can say. And then you go wild sometimes. It's creating and making, but it's so fun here. Hestia. Some of our fiery correspondences. Yeah, here's still something more. There's some more pages I have to put in. But like I told before, I have no color printer, so I have to wait until I go to the copy shop next time. So yeah. So I will surely do the other elemental cards, but I think it will take some time more. But it was fun, and I have everything I need to do them, because I have a book press for bookbinding, and yeah, also a big cutter where you can do books with, and all the stuff for bookbinding I have also. But I love to bookbind them in this way, like here. This is here. I actually did here some washi tape on it, because the holes tend to rip here a bit. So I thought to strengthen the back of this booklet with a bit of washi tape. Yeah. Like I told you, it's a mind-blowing experience, and this here was more of a rambling of my past than a testimonial like I wanted to do it. But you can be sure in the future there will be some more of the study contents, which is, a lot of this stuff is actually now incorporated into videos, or will be incorporated into my videos in the future. I start to get more confident on my language skills, maybe to, even if you might say, oh my god, what, she is talking like a freak. But I'm getting now to a stage where I say, okay, maybe I will be able to do more in-depth videos and talk more about my spirituality now. And yeah, we'll be able to, this is something I love here, look at that, isn't that a great picture? Yeah, we'll be able to get more, this where you will know, get more to the meaty part. But you will also see here and there some of my lovely nature-based videos, because I'm a nature lover, let's face it. Yeah, and I will also put in some, when I see this here, I have to think about shadow work. This is also a thing which is still on my to-do list. I started a bit here and there, but not really, I not really dive into it until yet. But I'm now starting a new project here in September. I'm taking part in Sounds and Sessions from Kellyanne from the Four Queens, and she offered on her Etsy shop these new option Sounds and Sessions for self-love September, and I I will take part. I booked it. Let's say it like this. I purchased it, and I'm quite curious about the outcome, and I will dedicate the October to my shadow work, and I also want to purchase a shadow work reading from Kellyanne then, when it's time for getting into the depth again in the darker month, so it's maybe more appropriate. Yeah, I hope this rambling was in some way, in any kind, inspiring or so. If you want a more detailed video, just tell me. I try to get it on camera, because, like I told you, it's more about learning. The heart is learning, not so much the mind. Also the mind, but there's a deeper connection to the heart. I can say it's an intuitive learning, you can say, something which manifests in your into your personality.